Today I brought you guys a monstrosity.
Listen up, Rangers, welcome to the Geek Chest. My name's Steve. Probably should have grabbed the figure I plan on working on today. But what I got here, I'm actually going to pop out the tail, is the MonsterArts Ghidorah figure. Now, I wasn't initially planning on doing this with this figure, but I've been kind of having fun repainting stuff lately and trying to make them look better than what we got from the companies. And I figure what better way than what I would say is one of my more disappointing MonsterArts figures in terms of just overall paint quality. Because it's got a really nice sculpt, but it's just a very boring looking figure. They recently had the special colored version that came out, but to be honest, I think it's a little too gold, in my opinion. So what I want to do with this is try to replicate the movie a little bit more, but I also don't want to repaint the entire thing, or at least what I mean is I don't want to primer it. Like, I'm just going to kind of go over it with the way the colors are, because what I'm going to be doing with it, this base color shouldn't be a big issue. And also, if you guys want to try to do this yourselves, you can kind of replicate what I'm doing. So this video is going to be a little bit more of a tutorial, more so than what I usually do, which half the time I just kind of just explain what I'm doing and then just get to work. While with this, I probably won't be doing the music and you guys just see me doing the work, but I'll show you guys exactly how I'm doing the stuff, and then I will just finish off what I'm going to do and cut back to other scenes. So first and foremost, what I got here, and I haven't quite decided, I just got freaking resin dust everywhere, which is probably not good. These really cheap acrylic paints, which is Folk Art. Not sure which one I want to use. I got two metallic ones. I have a, what they call antique copper and chocolate black. Gotta pay attention better to where my camera's at. I think either of these will work. I think the red's probably going to look a little nicer. I might end up using both. If I do, I'll let you know. I think we're going to start with the red, see how this works. But my game plan is I'm going to do this as a wash to fill in all the diamond plating and pretty much just everything. Like, it's just going to kind of do a wash to give a nice contrast and show the details a lot better. And then afterwards, might use some brown, might not. And I also want to dry brush some gold over top of the diamond plating. So anywhere where there's diamond plating, I want to make that gold. Anywhere where there's not diamond plating, I'm going to leave it alone. Because, I want to have that contrast. But the neck, my dog's running around upstairs being a terror. The neck region specifically, I'll probably go over a little bit lighter. But that, I don't want to be metallic, because I really want the scales to stand out. And then be touching up the heads, which will be interesting, because now looking at it, I don't know what my dog's chasing. I'm going to need some blacks up here. And I was thinking about just doing a wash, but I don't think that's going to hold as well. So we'll work on that when we get to it. And then it'll be pretty much just touching up nails. Nails, maybe some teeth, what have you. But first, hopefully my dog calms down a bit. Alright, I think my dog's calmed down a bit. So I kind of angle it a little better, just so when I'm holding it, you guys can see it a little better. Alright, so pretty good. I'm going to try to keep it focused on my little grubby spinny wheel. Alright, so I got a little reservoir set up over here. I'm going to reestablish the copper, shake it up just a little bit. decent amount in there. And then just add some water. I don't think I want to add a bunch, but just like enough. Because here I would probably do like half and half, sort of like if I was going to be airbrushing. And then I'm just going to take this and again, just kind of start going over the entirety of the figure to fill in these little nooks and crannies. And you can just spread it around. Make sure it gets into pretty much everything. You could be a little bit more thorough and go over each of the joints. Like if you really want to dismantle the figure to get every little nook and cranny, but for the most part, I don't think it should be that big of a deal. One way I kind of circumvent it is I just adjust the figure accordingly. But the nice thing about doing a wash is it's kind of going to want to bleed into sections anyways. So for the most part, you just got to make sure it kind of gets just where you want it to, and then any excess runoff's just going to kind of go where it wants to. And then once I do it, I'm just going to take my hairbrush, or not my hairbrush, my hair dryer, and dry it up real quick to kind of speed this along for me. If you don't have one, just literally just let it sit on your table and let it finish up. But in doing that, you'll probably take a lot longer because once I do my hair dryer, I can flip this and do the other side. If you had to let it dry, you would have to kind of wait on that part. One thing too is you might see the little splotches there. I want to make sure those go away before I try to dry it off. So I just kind of just take the excess off and I'll just reapply it, brush, and just keep applying it in other areas. Like for instance, I still got to get these legs done. Plus when I use the hair dryer too, it's going to blow some of this off anyways. But I just want to try to make sure there's not a lot of buildup in certain areas. Also, just while doing your wash, like for instance, I just had to refill mine. And don't be afraid to add just more water. It doesn't really matter if it gets more diluted than it was. If you see it's not really catching on the detailing as much as you like, you can always just add a little bit more paint to it. Right now, seems like I'm still doing alright with my coverage. Let's make sure I'm, like I said, I want to get quite a bit of access on here because I want it to go into the joints. So again, I don't have as much work to do later on. Alright, so now it's decently dry. Now I'm just kind of working the joints a bit and just going into trying to get into sections that I didn't get previously, because I'll be dry brushing tomorrow, so it'll have plenty of time to kind of sit overnight. Thankfully, a lot of him is just going to be mainly this neck. A little arm you're going to have to worry about a little bit here, but this is pretty easy to take care of. Same with the leg. Alright, so next on it, as you can see, we got the nice really bronze looking wing now, which looks actually pretty cool. But now I'm going to take some paper towel with some alcohol and wipe this off as much as possible. Outside of where, well, to be fair, it's not going to really matter much around the diamond bits. We're going to be going over those anyways. A little bit of alky on my thing. I'm just start wiping. I'm not going to go super crazy, but as you can see, it's moving just like enough that I can see some detailing, but it still gives it a nice rough edge, which is what I want. Plus then too, this will give it like a nice variation of colors. Like the wings will be a little metallic here and there, but that's not my alcohol. A little metallic here and there, but not super crazy metallic on the actual wings. Alright, so next is all the dry brushing. I should have grabbed the proper brush before hitting record. Alright, so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to try some dry brushing on it real quick just to see how that initial wash worked or if I need to add some more coloring. Because right now I'm not 100%. But for this part, I'm actually using nice acrylic paints. So I got what I have here is Liquitex Basic Acrylic. And I'm just putting a little bit on my brush. Taking off quite a bit of it, and then I'm just going to start slowly, lightly just going over top of the scaling. Looks like I'm probably going to have to be doing some bunch of passes. Because the one thing I've noticed about using gold, it really doesn't like darker colors. So I'm going to dry brush over top of the figure. And then probably have to make another pass to brighten it up more. Because you'll see here it's already getting pretty gold. And this part's dry now, so now if I go over it again, you'll see it's definitely a lot brighter now. And this is the part where some of the stuff can get really time consuming. Alright, so now that I like the gold, next I'm going to be touching up around the horns with the black so that I can do the gold on the heads and hopefully call them done. Thinking about still sticking with the iridescent so it has a nice metallic to it. We'll see. Actually, I think I want black. I'm going to pop the head off. Right around here, I'm just going to coat these guys with black. And then kind of what I did with the wings is I'm just going to remove a lot of the black back off. But I want to get a bunch into the nooks and crannies. Well, it's looking like it's doing what I wanted. Just be careful not to squeeze too hard because you don't want to break the horns. God forbid that happens at this point of the game. Alright, not too shabby. Get the black off, and then we'll see how well the gold applies to it. Oddly enough, the inside of the crest is kind of what I wanted the outside to look like, but that's not too bad. Like I said, I think a lot of my problem is just going to be detailing. The thing about this paint too is it dries really, sometimes it'll be a little tacky, but it dries pretty quick. Cool. Alright, I'm going to do the rest of the heads, but also while I got you guys here, I'm going to remove some of the paint here to the parts that aren't plated, because I want to brighten this up. I wanted this to stay pretty much the same color for the most part, but I just want to add some detailing with the wash. But anything that's kind of resembling skin, I want it to be skin. So I figured like the diamond plating will be what's golden on Ghidorah. Kind of makes sense to me. Because the tail will still have some metallic to it, but nothing crazy. It's mainly going to be the tail tips that I painted will have the gold. And this will still have a little bit of shine to it, but it's going to be because of the wash more so than the skin. Just be careful not to remove your gold paint you just put on. Kind of remove a little bit off the toes. Plus, I think it'll give it a nice contrast too, because you'll have like the metallic, but then you'll have some flat spots, so it's not like offensively shiny everywhere. Okay, so I'll do the rest of the heads. And then I still gotta also do the diamond on the wings. Gotta make those gold, and then we'll do the brighter colors for the stomach region. Alright, so for the dry brushing for the stomach, I'm using two different colors. I'm using parchments, and then this Maple's yellow hue. I might be able to get away with just yellow, but I think I'm gonna want it brighter. So we're going to do that. Show you guys on the tail, because I feel like this is maybe the part that's going to be a little bit harder for people to notice. But I'm going to try to get all the way along here. I'm bending the tail out just so I can get as much detail showing as possible. And the plating looks like it stops around there. To the tip. Like, I'm not really noticing any detail right after that piece. So I'm going to mix these two colors together. And all this is doing is I just wanted it a brighter yellow. You kind of see right there was what I was aiming for. But I also want to be dry brushing, so I gotta get as much paint off here as possible. And then just slowly go over the detailing. So now I got that on. I'm going to do one more pass. And it's kind of the same way you could treat the Ghidorah spines too. If you don't like the shading, you think it's too dull, you could always do extra passes. Just wait for it to dry, come back over. Now, like I mentioned with this stuff, it dries pretty freaking quick, which is what I like. Like, that already looks pretty well good to me to go along with the tail, especially for it being the under section. Want it to be more of a sandy color anyways. Alright, so next on the chopping block, Ghidorah's looking pretty smexy, got the wings pretty well set. Maybe it could be a little bit cleaner with the gold, but especially right there. Didn't notice that spot until we started filming. It's also going to be a lot of this too, because sometimes I'll be like, this could be a little brighter, I'll go back up. It's a lot of finessing. Like, I'll do something, I might not like it. By the time I get around, I'll probably like touch this thing up good 5 or 6 times before I really get it to the way I want. But anyways, so what I want to do next is for the skin. I kind of want to brighten it up a little bit because currently it does blend really well, which is kind of what I want. But I want to brighten it up a little bit more, but nothing crazy. So my options, I have this, which is definitely too bright, and then I have another option, which is slightly too dark. So I'm going to kind of do what I did before when I wanted to brighten up the stuff for the under section region. I want to do a darker mixture, like in between of these two, so I'm just going to mix these together. And then I have a bit of dry on my thing, but if you guys want to know, it's Liquitex Raw Sienna, and then more of the previous one, if I can ever find the bottle. Definitely not iridescent white. Wherever it went. Oh, there we go. Maple yellow hue. Alright. So I'm just going to take some of that, I think with a bigger brush. Especially on this, because I kind of just want to get as much surface area as I can. I don't want to mix the entirety of it, because I kind of want to use... Actually, I'll probably use a brown, but where I have some of that gold overspray on here, you can see. From just, honestly, probably using too big of a brush. But I want to make sure that was nicely covered. I also realized I don't really got anything good to just brush on anymore, because I got too much gold in the center here. Well, I guess I could just use... Oh, I can't. Oh, yeah, I can. So we'll just... A little bit there. Still too dark. Oh, that looks... I don't have to think about where I want it. Get a bunch off here. Then just... I'm going to start dry brushing it. Just to give this another texture for the color contrast. But then you'll see it's still kind of... A lot of the base colors are still hanging out on here, but it's going to add even more character. And then I'm just going to proceed to do this for the entire wing. At least the skin sections. Because it'll knock down that metallic from the previous wash. Still be lingering around, but it's not going to be as harsh. And then, like I mentioned, getting it more up to the skin coloring that I want. Alright, real quick, just kind of touching up Ghidorah with a little bit more gold. So now what I'm doing is I'm kind of just articulating it a bit. And I'm just going to work on dry brushing some more gold into between some of the jointed sections. Don't really got to worry about here. Legs, a little bit. You can kind of see right there. I got to get a little better up in there. But for the most part, the trouble area is definitely gold the legs. The neck. Because it's definitely the thing that can move more. So you can kind of see I missed a little bit right there. So I'm just going to go in through here and just kind of shove the brush in there and just get as much as I can. So I got it articulated enough that it's posing without the necks falling off. I just want to make sure I get into every little nook and cranny. Alright, looking good. The one thing I did on camera is I just took, when I was dry brushing the wings, I also went over this just to kick down the metallic around the side of the legs, because I really want that diamond plating to stand out a lot more. Next, we were going to be doing cleaning up the wing, mainly just around here. So I just took some whatever brown acrylic you got. This one in particular is bark brown. Work my way down the side of the wing here, and this will again kind of make the fingers stand out a little bit more. Let's clean up any crimes you got from all that metallic gold. Alright, so essentially I'm done with the wings. They'll look like this. Nothing too crazy. Again, just keep brushing it on so you get rid of the gold essentially, but not too thick that it'll start showing too much in the wing. But it helps to make the gold stand out a lot nicer too when you're all done with it. Looks like it's pretty much like parchment's my best friend there. So, to be honest, I could probably just leave the base color alone because it's already kind of dark as it is, and just accent the tips essentially and call it a day. So we shall try that. We do got some gold on here, which might be a problem, but we'll see. I don't want a lot on here, just enough to kind of brush over top, just kind of accentuate them a bit. So one thing about this is they don't have, like on the actual model, it's a claw. Well, on here it sort of has that, but it doesn't also. Alright, so I'm just going to do this pretty much just for the other one, and his nails, and then probably the same thing for its little tail spikes here. I guess I can show you what I mean. What I was going to do with the back of the horns is I'm just going to try to darken them up a bit, and I think I still want them to be metallic. So iridescent black is probably my way to go. This one I still want enough on the brush so that it'll catch, but not a crap ton so that it'll distort the color. And I'm just going to lightly just kind of hit them, because then this will also make them look more like the horns. I will say the one thing about iridescent black, unlike just basic black, is it doesn't quite stick the first pass. I actually got to get more. I have to have more on the brush. It scares me. Because I don't want to poke something that it just sticks onto, but I need enough just so that it'll catch. Pretty much mainly the back. And then I might hit this. Well, actually, the images, it didn't really seem like it's really stood out there. So this hell, I'll still do it anyways, just to do it. But a lot of this will just mainly be focusing on the back bits. And that'll be about it for that. And then go outside, seal it, and then that's pretty much a wrap on this. So we'll show you guys the final results. Alright, so I'm doing this here because it's just a little easier. I can hold this a little better. But here is finished Ghidorahs. Overall looks really smexy. Love the way the wings contrast on it with the skin tones and the gold, but when you turn it, it still has a little bit of a shine to it because of the wash. but nothing too crazy. It's really hard to notice the copper here reflecting, but it's definitely visible. And then the gold just looks really nice on it. And you can see here with the toesies, gold plating coming through really nicely on the neeps here. Same with on the sides. And then just, the lighting will show it a little better. But just hit those little spiky bits a little bit, just to darken them up a tad. With, I forget what color I used for that. That part I know I didn't film that well. I think I just went over it with the metallic brown. But other than that, then you can see on the back here too, the darkened spikes. And super pleased with it. Like, this is sort of how I feel the MonsterArts should have came out originally, and even the special color, I think, should have been something more akin to this than just being super golden god with a little bit of a brighter chest from what I've seen from pictures. Now it's actually got, like, the nails are painted properly, it's got the right color proportions, the head's actually got more detailing on them. Instead of just being gold or sand color with just painted teeth. But still, I decided to keep the teeth the same. I just kind of went through, cleaned up a little bit of them. After just doing the paint, same with the eyes I left, because overall I thought the eyes were actually pretty solid. But yeah, super sweet. Kind of wish I would have grabbed a 2019 Godzilla to hit down here by comparisons. But anyways, let me know what you guys think. If I guys did a improvement over the MonsterArts, or if you guys prefer the more original style, let me know in the comment section below. And help us defeat those kaijus by hitting that like button, subscribe, become a ranger today. We also got Instagram, Patreon, Pinterest, and Facebook. Guys, like keep up to date with the channel and donate. Greatly would appreciate it. We'll see you guys in the next videos. Bye, guys. God, I forgot how creaky of a boy this is.